I always tell the guys, before you slut shame a woman, think about your mother. Think about the act it took in order to have you. You understand what I'm saying? She was begging for your dad's bro. She was begging for it. She could not wait to get it. And then your little ugly ass popped out, you know? And I talk to the boys like that, and they're just like, damn, she's right. My mom was like totally getting it in. Hey, I'm Amber Rose, model, entrepreneur, and the owner of the Amber Rose SlutWalk. I was slut shamed a lot because no one knew why we got divorced. We never really talked about it, but it was just my fault. As a woman, it was like, it's her fault. She can't keep a man. She did something wrong. And I feel like that's kind of when I was like, I'm not the only person that's going through this in the world. Like, I feel like I have a platform and I can actually help other women kind of get through this, because I feel like I'm strong enough to take those punches, and I did. One thing that men say that pissed me off a lot is probably them just calling me a whore, but then their mom has like 4 baby daddies. I'm a whore because I posted a picture in a bathing suit, or I'm a whore because I've had relationships. I'm 34 years old, I've had relationships. Your mom has 4 different baby daddies, which is awesome, but you're not saying, my mom has 4 baby daddies. Maybe I shouldn't call this person a whore, because someone would call my mother a whore for those same reasons. I think it's so funny when they're like, you're a mom, put clothes on, you're a mom, what are you doing? I'm like, do you understand that someone had a inside of me in order for me to have a baby? I'm just saying. I mean, I had some freaky wild ass sex with my husband in order to have my son. Do you think that just goes away like after you have a kid? Like, no, it doesn't. When you're like a teenager, like an older teenager in your 20s, and your mom is much older then, and you look at pictures of your mom being bomb as hell when she was young, you're not like, God, mom, you were a hoe. You're just like, wow, mom, you were popping. It's very frustrating, like when I talk about the derogatory labels like slut, hoe, whore. I always get the argument of, well, this is what it says in the dictionary. But the definition in the dictionary is always like a woman that. And it's very frustrating because it never applies to a man. All of those derogatory labels are never ever applied to a man whatsoever. He can do the same exact thing a woman does, but he's cool for it, you know, and everyone praises him for it. And so what I do is like, I refer to myself as a slut and a hoe because I was called a hoe in high school when I was still a virgin. So it made me realize that it really doesn't matter what your sexual background is or what you've done. It's really just derogatory words that people use against you to put you down because they're uncomfortable with you. So I started the Amber Rose Foundation to help with counseling. We're doing giveaways, we're paying rent, bills, tuition. We just want to help out in any way that we can. The first SlutWalk was 2,500 people. The second was 11,000. And this past year was over 20,000 people. So it grew so much, and I'm so happy that, you know, we're bringing more awareness. We don't charge anyone, you know, we ask for donations. The walk is just in the beginning. Then we have a full festival all day, you know, with sponsors and stuff like that, so we can celebrate the fact that we're women. We can fight back against rape culture. It's a lot of crying and laughing and being happy and being sad and meeting people that understand your life because they've been through the same thing. It's a very emotional day. As you can imagine, him being the love of my life, regardless if we're going through a separation or not, that was extremely hurtful. To have this slut walk for women that have been through. I feel like us women, we're not playing with you guys anymore. So I feel like all the girlfriends and all the wives are kind of like, you better get your together because we're not playing. I see a lot of feminists that are like, I hate men, they're done. It's like, no. You have to bring them in, you have to talk to them. Their entire life, all they knew was to victim blame and slut shame women.
God hates whores like you.
That's what they've been taught constantly. And especially if you're an older man or you're in your 30s or 20s, 40s, 50s, it gets a bit worse because they're just stuck in their ways. But we have to bring men aside and be like, look, this is what it is. I need you to understand it from this point of view. I don't care if she was a stripper. I don't care if she was a prostitute. I don't care if she was at his house 3 o'clock in the morning having drinks. I just feel like now is the time to educate and talk more to our boys and kind of stop this whole hyper masculine energy that all of the men, not all of the men, but most men have nowadays. The next generation, we need to make them better. It's locker room talk. Yeah, it's what boys do. Boys are gonna be boys. It's like, no, I will never say that to my son. Boys are gonna be boys. It's like, no, you're a human being. Have some compassion and do the right thing as a man, as a person, I'm raising my son to be a feminist. It's funny because I went to pick him up from school and he's a very loving boy. So, but his father and I and my mother and the whole family, my brothers, we kiss him and we coddle him and we love him all day. I mean, he's just filled with love. So when he goes to school, I grew up culturally very Italian as well. And so when we greet each other, the family, we all kiss each other on the cheek. So when he goes into school, he kisses all the boys on the cheek, and then he kisses all the girls on the mouth. So I said, baby, when you kiss a girl on her mouth, you have to ask her permission first. I know you kiss your whole family. We all kiss on the lips in my household. But I'm like, when you go to school, you have to ask the girls permission. It's called consent. And he's like, no, they want me to kiss him, Mom, I'm telling you. And I said, no, babe, I know you like kissing girls on the lips, but you have to ask. So I pick him up, and there's this little girl, Natalie and Stella, that he like both of them are his girlfriends. And he kisses one on the lip, and I said, remember, you have to ask. So he goes to Natalie, he says, Natalie, can I kiss you on the lips? And she's like, yeah. They're 5, by the way, 5. So he kisses her on the lips, and then she's like, can Sebastian come to my house after school today? And I'm like, oh my God, like this is like, but he asked. I can't be mad at my little boy for asking. And that's what I'm teaching him at such a young age, that, you can have whatever you want in life. The worst thing someone can say is no. Just be respectful, compassionate, and just be a good boy, and everything will be good. I don't think it's my responsibility to speak on these issues. I don't think it's anyone's responsibility to do anything but take care of their families and do what they have to do. This for me is a passion. This is my everyday life. This isn't my manager saying, hey, by the way, you should put up an Instagram post about slut shaming. This is something that I live every single day. I'm living this with other women, and we need to help each other.